Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we're still following up with the latest developments that is happening in the activities of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. I have all the pleasure to be accompanied right now in the studio by Dr. Mohamed Salah, the political expert, to speak more about the brief visit that His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi went to Oman and the United Arab Emirates. Well, first of all, hello and welcome to our special edition. And of course, as you see, that we are still following up with His Excellency's activities.
Hello, Sheen. I'm very happy to be with you today at this episode of Special Edition, and I wish you and all of your followers a fruitful discussions and talks about regarding this important and presidential visit that's happened today to United Arab Emirates and Oman, inshallah.
Well, of course, the visit has lots to speak about when it comes to as an initiative, as a supportive initiative, let's say, and to prove that Egypt stands for the Arab UAE and lots of Arab countries, for its sovereignty, for its integrity, solidarity, and always in each time, whether His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi or Dr. Badr Abdel Ati, they always condemn all the attacks that did suffer from the Arab countries, and they always comment on that by it means the safety and the security also for Egypt. So this brotherly actions proves a lot and also has a hidden message for the whole world, I guess, that Egypt supports every country.
Well, I would like to say that it's the first important thing that we have to talk about regarding the current situation in the Middle East, that we have a lots of threats and lots of problems that are taking place or urged from the American-Iranian attacks from both sides on the Arab Gulf countries at the last 2 months in this action or in this war. And we have to know well that there is a historical rule that it's usually used to be done by the Egyptian army or the Egyptian state in general. Due to our leadership, due to our relations, our strong ties with our brothers in Gulf countries and Gulf area in general, not only in Gulf area practically, but to all the Arab nations and all the Arab countries and to all of the Arab peoples in the region. I'd like to say that we have a prominent rule that is coming from our historical rule and from our historical insertion or historical involvement on these actions regarding helping our brothers or supporting them to face these threats that have coming or that comes out from the Iranian-American conflict. And this is the first important role is about the major or the regional power, Egypt as a regional power, and the importance of the Egyptian rule on this formula in order to discuss or to prove or to support our strong ties with our brothers in Gulf area in general. The second is about talking about the future. what will happen in the future for the current crisis between America and Iran, and about its results and about its inflictions on our national security, whether about the national security of the Gulf area in general, or about the national security in Egypt, or the Arab national security in general. I would like to say that it's also another message or another target from this presidential visit. I'd like to say also that Egypt expresses its strong solidarity with the Emirates due to many reasons. I'd like to say that Egypt has expressed its involvement in defending on Emirates, United Arab Emirates, and defending our brothers in Gulf in general. And these are the main messages about the presidential visit today to Gulf countries, which is happening for the second time on these war actions this year.
Well, that proves a lot. Actually, that proves the steady steps that our foreign policy is walking through. It proves a lot that always Egypt is supporting the solidarity, as you said, and sovereignty of each brotherly countries, stressing on these ties and expanding it more. I think this visit means a lot. It means not just it's a kind of condemnation for the attacks and for the strikes and what happened in the Strait of Hormuz, for the ships and the maritime strikes that did happen for the Emirati ships. But we're still speaking about how this can go farther. Like, yes, there's a lot of messages that is being sent right now, but His Excellency also, his visit means a lot. Most people been speaking lots of issues about Egypt that is not supportive enough, why Egypt is not going through a war because of its brotherly countries. This is way much than a war. Policy is something that can last, something that can reduce the tension and also gives messages without any harm or any direct harm.
Yes, I totally agree with you, and I would like to say that this is a kind of the wisdom or the wise actions taken by Egypt from the early beginning of this war. We'll have to say that Egypt has played a very important or a key role on both deactivating this struggle or the escalations about escalating the actions is coming in the area. At the same time, Egypt have played a mediator between both sides, between the American side from hand, and from the other hand with the Iranian side. Yes. I'd like to say that Egypt also have performed or have played a very important role on supporting or defending our brotherly countries in the Gulf area, and all of these rules cannot be done by this means or by this clever way from any other countries except Egypt. Egypt is conducted or is expected to be the one who is looking for keeping peace alive, as the peace is our strategic choices in the Middle East in general. Egypt believe, or strong Egyptians believe on finding solutions or solutions for any struggles or for any problems throughout what we call it diplomatic connections, throughout going into an active negotiations between each others in order to find or to produce solutions that will keep both sides win from this or due to win-win situation. So I'd like to say what's important now to know well that this important role that have been done by the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi keeps about or reflects that Egypt, first of all, is very wise enough in order to keep all of these positive or these important ways throughout defending our brothers. At the same time, we are playing a mediator, a very important mediator role between participants in this war, and at the same time you have to following or keeping the security and national security of the Middle East in general. And this is very important to know or to notice that we are not looking for the Egyptian national security only, but Egypt at this very important and important period of time is looking or dealing with the national security of the Arab area in general.
Well, actually, Egypt is dealing with a lot of circumstances, a lot of actually, it's dealing lots of it's watching its borders, it's going on, it's drawing up. It's getting in the mediation teams, which we have a great mediation team, let's say, negotiating with the second phase of Gaza and the ceasefire, and then Lebanon. And so we are moving in different directions, but all the directions proves one thing, that we are walking on a steady steps. We are so honored that we are Egyptians up to now, because we are walking in this thorny geopolitical
This is the natural action by the Egyptians due to our historical role. As I told you at the early beginning of our episode today, Egypt is the real leader of the Middle East. Egypt is not an ordinary country or a single country in the Middle East, but it's a big country, the first and the most ancient country in the Middle East and in the world in general. We have lots of plans, lots of solutions, lots of ways to use in order to achieve what we are looking for in many fronts or in many places, in order to keep the national security for the Arabs and for the Arab nations and the Arab countries in general. When you are talking about Egyptian role in South Lebanon, you have played a very important and a key role on negotiations that are happening now between Lebanese and Israelis at United States of America. You are supporting Lebanon on these negotiations. You are telling them or delivering them advices regarding the actions or the tactics that are being used by the Israeli negotiators. At the same time, you are looking for a solution for the problem of the Strait of Hormuz, which affected all the world economy or the global economy in general.
Yes.
All of the global economy now is suffering from closing the Strait of Hormuz, and which is a very strategic, important and crisis about the most important crisis about energy in general in the last 50 years, I think. So we are talking about Egypt, which have lots of assets, which have lots of solutions, which have lots of tactics to use in order to reach our goals. We haven't achieved, or we haven't kept these negotiations alive from no way, but this is because we are knowing well how to move to the right direction, or how to reach our goals finally, which is depriving those who are looking for changing the regional system in general, and preventing them from achieving any single victory, whether in Gaza Strip, whether in West Bank, whether in Lebanon, whether in Iran. And at the same time, we have to do our leadership role regarding supporting our Arab countries, whether we are talking about Lebanon, whether talking about Syria. And at the last few days, we have seen that a very important visit done by Syrian Foreign Minister Asad al-Shibani for Egypt, and another delegation that have been come from Egypt or moved from Egypt to Damascus in order to negotiate, in order to discuss about the plans of the Syrian state for rebuilding Syria again after the civil war, after lots of years of civil war. And this means that you, as an Egyptian state, you are looking for an Egyptian country, you are looking for the best or the benefits for all the Arab nations, regardless of your own benefits, or regardless of your own benefits from these actions. And I'd like to say that moving on Lebanon, moving on Syria, and now the presidential visit, a very important presidential visit today to our brothers in Gulf City, which is happening. I'd like to reaffirm that this visit is happening to the second time in 2 months, during the war actions, during a lots of tensions that's happening on the Strait of Hormuz. All of this action proves that Egypt is a real leader for the Middle East. Egypt are the real player, or the key player for peace negotiations or peace action in the Middle East in general.
Well, speaking about the visit, also or the other brief visit to the Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, this is also means a lot. It's a solidarity with them, and it's what's going in Yemen lately. Also, it's lots of actions. Actually, we don't know what not to mention, where it's not happening around the world. That's lots of nonchalant actions, strikes, wars. Even again, when we speak about Yemen, of course, we're going to speak about that, and then we're going to speak about the move to support also Sudan, Somalia, and all of that.
And this is also one of the prominent rules that are being done nowadays by the Egyptian state in general, the state of Egypt. I'd like to say that we have condemned a lot what's happening through attacks about the Ethiopian attacks against Khartoum airport. And I'd like to say that we have supported also the unity of Somalia, and we have the unity of Yemen. And all of these actions, or all of these Egyptian actions and positions, is serving the unity and serving the stability of the Middle East in general. Regarding this visit to Oman today, what I'd like to say that it's very clear or very similar to the visit to United Arab Emirates at the same time. We'll say again that it's about the historical ties, about the very important ties or brotherly ties between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Sheikh Mohamed bin Zayed and Sultan Haytham bin Tariq. Also about the relations, the strong relations between the Egyptian state and Omani state and United Arab Emirates. At the same time, we have a different types of ties regarding them. If we are talking about economic ties, we have a very important economic ties and investments here in Egypt. About cultural ties, about people, the people ties, the strong social ties between the people in Egypt and the people in United Arab Emirates and Oman. So lots of ties are gathering Egypt and our brothers in Gulf area or in Gulf countries. And this is what's happening is natural. It's very natural to have or to see such support and such visits at this very important and very sensitive period of time in the Middle East, especially for the Gulf countries in general. So it's not a surprise, it's really expected for the Egyptians to do this, to affirm or to confirm that we are taking the same side with our brothers. We are supporting their sovereignty. We are keeping or playing to support them and to save them from any threats that could happen from the Iranian side or from any other side in general.
Well, let's speak frankly that national security comes from regional security. So each country is so keen that her region would stay clean from conflicts, from strikes and all of that, because either way you're going to be affected. Speaking from the lesson learned from the closing of the Strait of Hormuz, not just the Middle East was affected or were affected, but also the European countries. That's why the urgent sessions are coming rapidly.
The whole world were affected really by the problem of Strait of Hormuz. If we are talking about the Strait of Hormuz problem, you are talking about the problem that's happened due to the poor planning for this war from the American side. They haven't expected that closing the Strait of Hormuz will produce all of these actions, all of these problems to the world in general. They thought that because they are the most or the highest producer for oil and gas in the world, they will not be affected by this action. But what's happening, what's going to the American economy now, and the bad KPIs for the performance of the American economy in general that's happening now, about the inflation rates, about the high prices that are taking part now in the American markets. All of these actions keep them pressed on the American president in order to find a suitable solution, in order to go back to negotiations, in order to end all of these war actions and to regain the nature of the market of oil and market of energy in general. And you have to know well that Strait of Hormuz was not a way to, or not a strategic, or not a supply chain on the markets of energy in general. But we are talking about it's a very important supply chain for all types of economies or all types of economies in the world in general. If you are talking about food and beverages, they were affected by closing Strait of Hormuz. If you are talking about communication, they are affected also by the closing the Strait of Hormuz. Or if you are talking about anything or any actions or any economic activities were affected badly, and it was affected harmfully by closing this strait. What expected is that if this strait is still closed for 1 or 2 years, we will have lots of bad actions regarding the food and beverage security in the world in general, not only in the Middle East. But I'm talking about a problem that could happen or might happen for all of the world nations and all the world people that are depending on the energy, or the energy comes out from the Middle East, in order to use it as a tools on their the different economic activities, such as
industrial and such
industrial and agricultural and all of these actions with this. So we have refound that America has refound that this Strait of Hormuz is very strategic way. It's that it couldn't be done or couldn't be treated as any other place in the world. That found that it's very important about the geopolitical importance of the Strait of Hormuz and the geopolitical importance and the economic importance of the Middle East in general, not only about Iran, not only about Gulf countries, but about the Middle East in general. I think all of these actions have been emerged for the American losses that have been done on this war. If you have a further look about what have the Americans comes out from this war, you will have that they haven't achieved any of their goals that they have said at the early beginning of this war. You haven't fallen the Iranian regime. You haven't controlled the Strait of Hormuz. You haven't ended the nuclear systems. You haven't ended about ballistic missile systems, drones. All of these goals weren't achieved at general. So it will give them the ability, or will oblige them to find a suitable end, or find what we are reaching a compromise throughout these negotiations in order to end all of these problems. Because President Trump is not able now to bear with all of these pressures that are happening now from the American people, from the international countries, international leaders, about they are pressing on him in order to finalize this war, because all the world now is harmfully affected by the results of closing Strait of Hormuz, and this is very important.
Fine, yes, I'm sure that the U.S. now is facing lots of pressure when it comes to each country's economy. Nobody wants to go in these actions. Nobody wants to be added as an ally for the U.S. or to have much more to dig in something that they don't want to. No country wants to. Lack of energy right now. It's all over the world. Lack of production, lack of trade, lack of everything. Right now we can see this numerous sessions that is being held probably weekly or twice a week by the UN, discussing the Strait of Hormuz, discussing economy, discussing human trafficking and illegal migration, discussing Sudan and South Sudan, discussing the Middle East crisis and Palestine. So lots of issues is being discussed by the international community, which lots of countries before this calling for the international community. Right now they are speaking because they saw the harm themselves.
Why they are negotiating, why they are talking or discussing the problems of the Middle East in general, why we have found European Union now is talking about the importance of the two-state solutions.
The economic situation, it's very ironic.
One of the most important notes, we have to know well that the changes that's happening or taking part now, and the effects of these changes on the others, especially on our neighbors in the old world, such as Europe, such as Asia, such as Africa, because all of these neighbors is really harmfully affected by what's happening or what's going on the Middle East. So they found that keep supporting Israel on its war, or its endless war in the Middle East, is not for their benefits. They won't find any good outputs from this support. So they have found, or they have called Israel many times in order to end all of these war actions, especially in Gaza Strip, especially in the West Bank, for many reasons regarding the economic situation, religious situation, or the religious importance for the West Bank, for the Christian community in general, and European community in general. Regarding also immigration that's happening from the Middle East to European nations, and they were
badly affected, of course,
badly due to all of these immigrations that are taking place or coming out from the Middle East in general. So they have found again about putting, or about making a kind of strategic partnerships between the Arab nations on the Mediterranean Sea, and this was the real goal of the European Union summit that held in Nicosia in Cyprus, and they have invited President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi also to attend this important summit, with the Syrian president, with the Lebanese president, and with many presidents from the Middle East. What are the reasons to have, or to giving these invitations to all the Arab leaders to attend this European summit, is how to find the solutions, how to how to end the dramatic effects or influence that are coming out from the struggles in the Middle East, how to keep the Middle East a peaceful neighborhood for the European Union, how to create economic stability, or economic situations that will produce or give the peoples in the Middle East the hope in the future, or to produce many work opportunities, or to give them the ability to set up a strong economy in the Middle East in general, because they found that problems in the Middle East will be paid, or the cost of the problems in the Middle East will be paid by the European Union, not any other parts. Exactly. And so this will lead us to the differences or disagreements that's happening now between the American side and the European side regarding the same action, because America is insisting on supporting Israel for the end. But the European now having found that supporting Israel will not give them, will not serve their stability, will not help there to end up these problems. So we have a lot of changes, a lot of disagreements that is taking part now between the Americans and the Europeans, which have affected badly about NATO alliance at the same time. Now we are talking about, we have listened a lot about, especially from the French President, Mr. Macron. He have called a lot in order to have a European army, or a European NATO, which will serve the national security of Europe in general, not to be dragged into the problems or the challenges done by the United States. And all of these actions are moving us to the new world order that's expected to be the final result for all these wars and all of these struggles that's happening in the world in general now.
Well, we've seen lots of actions actually, including the threats and the sanctions that he's always imposing, Donald Trump, because if you don't listen to me, I'm going to impose some sanctions. Also, he did to 35 member of the...
Lots of decisions, lots of speeches, lots of news, and they are not the same
so
way.
controversial.
They're contradicted with each other. Mr. Trump is saying something at the early morning, at the evening he say the opposite, and this comes to be a pattern, or a special pattern that is done by the American president in this war in general. And no one in the world knows what are the reasons for this conflict, or what are the reasons for this contradiction. When you are talking about speeches or news or actions taken from the same person, there is no reason to change these positions or change these decisions from the morning to evening. We do not know well what are the President Trump is looking for. And I saw that he is deeply affected by what's happening around him. We have to know well about the environmental elements that are keeping or around the American president in order to understand this contradiction. Because I think he's put under a very big pressure from the Hebrew power in America. He's under a very big pressure from his supporters, from MAGA, from Republican Party, about the coming midterm elections from the Congress. All of these actions makes President Trump is moving without a real or a certain goal at the same time. The war itself do not have a strategic goal in order to achieve. And this is the real reason for the fall, or the real reason for the losses happened to the American troops in the Middle East at this war.
Well, we hope for the best for the Middle East, of course, and we hope this clownish action should stop sometime. Well, Dr. Mohamed, Salah, the political expert, I would like to thank you so much. You always give me lots of information. Thank you for being with me today.
And thanks a lot for your hospitality. I'm very happy to be with you today. Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was it for this special edition. Right now, we're going to move to the Panorama News. Best regards from me, Shuruk Bakir.